Machiavelli warned men about this mistake 500 years ago, and yet most men still obey it every single day. Right now, somewhere in your office, a man is doing everything right. He's polite, loyal, and dedicated. He works harder than anyone else and gets less respect than everyone else. He thinks his boss appreciates his effort, but in truth, his obedience is the reason he's invisible. Machiavelli would call him a slave of fortune, because when you build your career on pleasing power, you surrender it. Why do so many intelligent men worship toxic authority? Why do they smile when they should speak and obey when they should strategize? The answer isn't weakness, it's programming. From a young age, men are told that being agreeable earns safety. Be respectful. Stay humble. Keep your head down. But Machiavelli saw through that illusion centuries ago. He who depends on the favor of another will soon be ruined by it. When you rely on the approval of superiors, you hand over the most powerful weapon a man can possess, his autonomy. And once that's gone, your loyalty becomes your leash. In today's corporate jungles, this leash is made of smiles, silence, and fake politeness. Your boss doesn't respect your effort. He measures your tolerance. He learns how far he can push you before you push back. And every time you say yes when you want to say no, you're teaching him that his authority outweighs your self-respect. Let's look at the psychology. Research from organizational behavior studies reveals that employees who constantly comply with authority lose perceived power over time. Their effort is noticed, but their influence fades. Why? Because human nature respects boundaries more than kindness. In dominance hierarchies, whether in a pack of wolves or a corporate office, submission signals weakness. It's biology, not morality. Men who chase approval lose authority because they unconsciously project fear, and fear invites control. That's why your toxic boss rewards manipulation more than merit. He doesn't want soldiers. He wants servants, and he tests you constantly. Here's how the test works. When he criticizes you publicly, he's not evaluating your performance. He's measuring your reaction. If you stay silent, he wins. You've accepted humiliation. If you defend yourself emotionally, he wins again. You've shown he can provoke you. But if you stay calm, strategic, and controlled, acknowledging the feedback without absorbing the emotional attack, he loses leverage. Think about the last time your boss gave you impossible deadlines or contradictory instructions. That wasn't confusion. It was a power test. He was checking whether you'd push back or simply absorb the chaos. Most men absorb it. They think, if I just work harder, he'll see my value. But that's the trap, because the harder you work without boundaries, the more you signal you're willing to be exploited. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. In The Prince, he advised rulers to test loyalty but never to trust those who appear too eager to please, because a man who craves approval will betray himself just to be accepted. That's the modern worker today, brilliant, capable, yet psychologically disarmed. He mistakes compliance for strategy, when in reality, he's walking into a trap designed to make him harmless. But here's what nobody tells you. Your boss doesn't want another helper. He wants another mirror. Someone who reflects his power back at him, not someone who absorbs it. And once you understand that difference, everything changes. Here's the Machiavellian truth that most men can't handle. Pleasing power makes you forget how to wield it. Look at Theranos. Elizabeth Holmes built an empire on fear and compliance. Employees who questioned her were fired. Those who stayed silent enabled fraud that nearly destroyed lives. But here's the critical detail most people miss. The whistleblowers who exposed her weren't rebels. They were strategic resistors. Tyler Schultz, one of the key whistleblowers, initially tried working within the system. When that failed, he documented everything, built external alliances, and executed a controlled resistance strategy. He didn't burn bridges emotionally. He dismantled them strategically. That's the hidden law of power. Predictable loyalty is weakness. Strategic resistance is respect. Machiavelli called this calculated loyalty. He wrote that a prince should reward obedience but fear dependence, because dependence destroys mutual respect. In modern terms, if your boss never fears losing you, he'll never value you. If your colleagues never compete with you, they'll never respect you. If you never say no, your yes means nothing. Here's a test. Think about the people in your workplace who command the most respect. Are they the ones who say yes to everything? Or are they the ones who carefully choose when to comply and when to push back? The answer reveals the game you've been missing. So let me ask you, how many times have you said yes when your instinct screamed, stop? The path to freedom begins when you stop equating obedience with professionalism. Control isn't rebellion, it's awareness. Machiavelli never told men to be cruel. He told them to be conscious, to see manipulation not as evil, but as inevitable, to master it before it masters you. When you recognize the hierarchy for what it is, a game with rules and players, you stop taking it personally. You stop reacting emotionally. And that's when your boss starts watching you differently. He notices your silence. He feels your composure. He wonders why he can't intimidate you anymore. That's when the psychological balance shifts, because true dominance isn't loud. It's quiet control. It's the calm voice in chaos that says, I choose when to move. Here are 3 Machiavellian strategies that shift the balance, with exact tactics you can deploy tomorrow. Strategy. Number 1. Controlled obedience. Appear loyal. Act sovereign. This means, agree when necessary, but execute with independence. When your boss assigns last-minute work, don't just say yes reflexively. Pause. Then say, I can prioritize that, but I'm currently working on Project A and Project B. If I shift focus to this, Project A will be delayed by 2 days. Which would you prefer I deprioritize? Notice what you just did. You didn't refuse. You forced a negotiation. You made him aware that exploiting you has costs. Costs he must now justify. This creates strategic ambiguity. You appear compliant while maintaining control over your workload and reputation. Here's another scenario. Your boss asks you to work this weekend. Instead of saying sure or I can't, try this. I can make that work, but I'll need to take Monday off to balance it. Does that work for you? You're not being difficult. You're establishing reciprocity. You're teaching him that your time has value and access to it requires exchange, not demand. Machiavelli's rule. It is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. In modern power dynamics, fear means respect for your boundaries. Strategy number 2, strategic silence. Silence is not weakness, it's control of emotional tempo. When your boss criticizes you in a meeting, don't react immediately. Let 3 full seconds pass. Maintain eye contact, then respond calmly. I appreciate the feedback. Let me review the data and get back to you with a revised approach. What just happened, you acknowledged without absorbing. You didn't defend emotionally, which would signal he rattled you. You didn't stay silent, which would signal submission. You controlled the tempo. This technique works because toxic leaders expect immediate reactions, either defensiveness or compliance. When you give neither, you create psychological uncertainty. They lose their ability to predict you. And unpredictability is power. Every pause you create forces them to fill the void, and in doing so, they expose their intent. Are they testing you, genuinely concerned, or just enjoying the power trip? Use silence like a weapon, because the man who controls tempo controls perception. Strategy number 3, authority projection. Dominance is not declared, it's signaled through micro-behaviors. Replace approval-seeking language with declarative framing. I think we should consider. Here's my assessment. Can I suggest something? I recommend we. Does that make sense? Let me know if you need clarification. Pair this with physical authority signals. Sit back in your chair during meetings instead of leaning forward. Leaning forward signals eagerness to please. Speak last in discussions, not first. Leaders synthesize, followers react. Maintain calm, steady eye contact. Not aggressive staring, but relaxed confidence. When you own language and presence, you own reality. This subtle shift tells everyone in the room you're not waiting for permission. You're leading with intent. And when your toxic boss realizes he can't intimidate you, he'll have two options: respect you or avoid you. Both outcomes are victory. But here's the twist Machiavelli never said out loud. The real danger isn't in serving the wrong master. It's in becoming blind to the game itself. Every man must choose his position in the power hierarchy. You can be the loyal worker who mistakes obedience for security, or the strategic thinker who earns respect by mastering controlled resistance. Machiavelli never told you to be ruthless. He told you to be real, to understand that in every relationship, personal or professional, power flows toward awareness. And the man who sees the game most clearly controls it. So stop trying to be the good employee. Good men are appreciated until they're replaced. Strategic men are feared and never forgotten. From today, stop pleasing. Start positioning. Because when you play the power game with consciousness, not compliance, you stop being controlled and start becoming untouchable. Now tell me in the comments, which of these strategies are you going to use first to reclaim your authority? Are you going to force negotiation with controlled obedience, master tempo with strategic silence, or reframe your presence with authority projection?